Welcome to the first episode of The Freedom Bell, a podcast production of the Pacific Training Center for the Blind. My name is Elizabeth Lalonde, and I'm honored to be your host. My family learned I couldn't see when I was about 2 years old. The eye doctor looked into my eyes and knew right away that I was blind. I had a bit of peripheral vision and could see shapes and shadows. Because of this vision, I wasn't taught Braille until high school and had to struggle along with large print. I remember in grade 7 trying to read a science test, but the print was too small and I broke down. There weren't any other blind children at my school. I didn't want to use my white cane because I didn't want to be different. I didn't know then what a strong advocate I would become, promoting a positive perspective of blindness, teaching that Braille is literacy, and that the long white cane symbolizes independence and freedom. As I grew older and attended university, I became more confident. I discovered a grassroots organization in the U.S. called the National Federation of the Blind that was working to change what it means to be blind. I learned that in the U.S. there are publicly funded rehabilitation centers where blind people could go for 6 to 9 months to learn the skills of blindness. This does not exist in Canada. That's when my dream took root to start an empowering center for blind Canadians. In order to understand the model of instruction used at the centers, I attended the Louisiana Center for the Blind in 2010. I learned to do everything non-visually. For my graduation projects, I cooked a meal for 40, did a drop route where I was dropped off in the city and found my way back, and I left reading Braille at 60 words per minute. I went to my graduation ceremony and rang the Freedom Bell. Upon my return home to Canada, I worked with other blind people to start the Pacific Training Center for the Blind. We launched the Blind People in Charge program in 2014. Our mission statement is blind people empowering each other to increase skills and confidence using a non-custodial approach. It's not about sighted people doing things for us. It's about blind people doing things for ourselves. Our biggest success at the center by far has been our students. Wajiha, a graduate from 2021, said that her experience at the Pacific Training Center for the Blind was life-changing. She said she was so glad that she can now do things that she used to be able to do as a sighted person. Anne, a senior student who was in her 80s in 2017, said her new abilities transformed a frightening future of increased dependency into a future of autonomy and self-reliance. Another student, Heidi, who was born blind and lived at home until her early 30s, after taking the program, she said she was able to move out on her own for the first time, and that was the best day of her life. The Pacific Training Center for the Blind is not just about providing services. It's a grassroots movement of blind people taking charge of our own lives, creating our own narratives, our own histories, our own futures. One of the biggest problems that hinders the success of blind Canadians is an overarching negative custodial belief about blindness and disability. This belief profoundly affects the type and quality of services available to us. In order to create true equality, we must change the social landscape to one of empowerment. Blindness and disability are a social justice issue. We must understand blindness and disability in a larger social context if profound change is to happen. Our knowledge and our experience are essential. Our voice matters. You can help us by sharing our stories, by challenging stereotypes and stigma, and by educating people about a positive and empowering perspective of blindness and disability.